Okay. I just ran out of storage space, so I had to delete some stuff, but I'm back, and I'm better than ever. Okay. So we were saying how he's saying to his mother, "Come on, Mom, what if somebody walks by and sees you sitting here? Come on." She took his hand and breathing hard, pulled heavily up on it, and then stood for a moment, swaying slightly as if the spots of light in the darkness were circling around her. Her eyes, shadowed and confused, finally settled on his face. He did not try to conceal his irritation. "I hope this teaches you a lesson," he said. She leaned forward, and her eyes raked his face. She seemed trying to determine his identity. Then, as if she found nothing familiar about him, she started off with a headlong movement in the wrong direction. "Well, aren't you going to the Y?" he asked. "Home," she muttered. "Well, are we walking the whole way?" For an answer, she just kept going. So something's happened here. She just gets up, and instead of going on to the class, she turns and just starts walking home. Now, it took him a bus to get there, so this is not going to be a short walk. So Julian's like, "What the heck, Mom? We're going to walk the whole way." For an answer, she just kept on going. Julian followed along, his hands behind him. He saw no reason to let the lesson that she had had go without backing it up with an explanation of its meaning. She might as well be made to understand what had just happened to her. "Don't go thinking that was just one uppity black woman," he said. "That was the whole black race, which will no longer take your condescending pennies. That was your black double. She can wear the same hat as you, and to be sure," he added gratuitously because he thought it was funny, "it looked better on her than it did on you. And what all this means," he said, "is that the old world is gone, the old manners are obsolete, and your graciousness is not worth a damn." He thought bitterly of the house that had been lost for him. "You aren't who you think you are," he said. So his mother just gets hit on the head. She starts acting strange. She's walking the wrong direction. And his reaction is to explain to her the lesson she just had and tell her, yeah, that's the whole black race rising up, and they don't take your pennies anymore, and she has the same hat, and it looked better on her, by the way. Now, he may have a point, but man, your mom just got clobbered with a purse, and your first reaction is to make her feel worse. Not good son material. Okay. She continued to plow ahead, paying no attention. Her hair had come undone on one side. She dropped her pocketbook and took no notice. He stooped down and picked it up and handed it to her, but she didn't even take it. "You needn't act as if the world's come to an end," he said, "because it hasn't. From now on, you've got to live in a new world and face the new realities for a change. Buck up," he said. "It won't kill you." So he goes to hand her her purse. She doesn't take it, and he's like, "Oh, you don't even want to carry your purse." "Well, the old world is dead. You're going to have to deal with it now, Mom." Not realizing that something is gravely wrong here. She was breathing fast now. "Oh, let's just wait for the bus," he said. "Home," she said thickly. "Oh, I hate to see you behave like this," he said. "You're just like a child. I should be able to expect more from you." He decided to stop where he was and to make her stop and wait for a bus. "Well, I'm not going any farther," he said, stopping. "We're going to wait on the bus." She continued to go on as if she had not even heard him. He took a few steps and caught her arm and stopped her. He looked into her face and caught his breath. He was looking into a face he had never seen before. "Tell Grandpa come and get me," she said. He stared, stricken. "Tell Caroline to come and get me," she said. Stunned, he let her go, and she lurched forward again, walking as if one leg were shorter than the other. A tide of darkness seemed to be sweeping her from him. So she's walking as if one leg's longer than the other, classic sign of a stroke. So the clobber on the head probably induced a stroke, and now she's got some functionality for a few minutes here, but something's wrong. And rather than spend his last few minutes with his mother saying, "Oh, gee, Mom, I'm sorry that lady hit you. Man, that was a little too far, but I hope you understand why she did it," but rather than being kind and nice to his mother, he's being nothing but sarcastic, mean, and cruel to her with his last few minutes with her. Stunned, he let her go, and she lurched forward and walked again, walking as if one leg were shorter than the other. A tide of darkness seemed to be sweeping her from him. "Mother," he cried. "Darling, sweetheart, wait." Crumpling, she fell to the pavement. He dashed forward and fell at her side, crying, "Mama, Mama!" He turned her over. Her face was fiercely distorted. One eye was large and staring, moved slightly to the left as if it had become unmoored. The other remained fixed on him, raked his face again, found nothing, and closed. So her one eye is kind of getting all loopy, and it looks like it's unmoored. That's like what happens to a dock in a hurricane. Like the dock gets unmoored and is just floating around, and not all the legs are connected anymore. So her eye is just kind of floating around, and her other eye is looking at him and can't place who he is because of the brain injury. Wait here, wait here! He cried and jumped up and began to run for help toward a cluster of lights he saw in the distance ahead of him. Help! Help! He shouted, but his voice was thin, scarcely a thread of sound. The lights drifted farther away and faster, and his feet moved numbly as if they were carrying him nowhere. The tide of darkness seemed to sweep him back to her, postponing from moment to moment his entry into the world of guilt and sorrow. So the story ends with Julian's mom presumably passing away. I always figured she passed away because now he's entering the world of guilt and sorrow. I guess she could have survived, and now he's forced to take care of her. But I assume that she passed away because in the 60s they probably didn't have the same treatment for strokes they do now. Most people died. So he's realizing too late that he's not the one teaching the lesson. He's being taught a lesson when his mother passed away here. So that brings the story to its conclusion. Julian, you have to make your own evaluations. I tried to cover most of the questions to give you some hints for the questions, but do your best with those. Fill out your note sheet, and we'll catch you next week. I'm not sure what we're going to do. Mr. Cuomo is going to announce what's happening for the rest of the year later this week, so perhaps he will unpause upstate. I don't know, and maybe we'll see each other on the 15th. If he doesn't and we're out longer, we'll do something else. I don't know what yet, but I got a couple ideas, but I will definitely stay in touch. I miss you guys tremendously, and it gets old wearing this suit and tie around the house all day, shirt and tie around the house all day, but that's what I got to do because I'm at work, so that's all right. That's a wrap. Have a good rest of your week and get that work done for Monday. Bye, guys.